冒険レッド、なんだその格好は。
大きなお世話だ。風水ラマン、龍眼。
Well, will you look at that? Bouken Red is cosplaying as Ace from One Piece.
冒険レッド。果てなき冒険。
Remember to click like, subscribe, the bell notification, and whatever else YouTube has you clicking on to support us. What's up everyone, I am the Kaiju no Kami, and today I'm taking a look at 2006's Go-Go Sentai Boukenger. Man, Toei loves to put go-go in front of things, don't they? 15 years ago, Maho Sentai Magi Ranger completed their task of protecting the world from the demons of hell and were then replaced by a group of adventuring treasure hunters known as Go-Go Sentai Boukenger. As with many series, there were multiple rumors swirling around about what the show would entail, given it was meant to mark the 30th anniversary of the series, one of which stated that the treasures the Rangers would be looking for would be based on items and weapons found in previous Sentai series. Regrettably, that was not actually the case, but it would have made for a cool idea. And then that idea would actually happen in Lupin Ranger vs. Pot Ranger. Instead, Boukenger featured a team who was hunting down randomized treasures known as a Precious. Boukenger was written by Sho Ayakawa, who had turned Kamen Rider Blade from being a top-notch series into a masterpiece. Thus, my expectations for Boukenger were quite high. Not to mention he wrote one of the best episodes of Aba Ranger. Nevertheless, as others have proven in the past, just because you come up with a masterpiece does not mean you're not going to also make stinkers. How is Boukenger as a whole? Let's adventure into this review to find out. The Heroes. As I said at the beginning of the review, Boukenger features a group of adventurers who have to travel around the globe in search of treasures that they have to protect from the evils of the world. To say this cast is borderline boring is an understatement. They just aren't all that interesting of characters to watch on screen, as most of their motivations and personalities are as flat as a sheet of paper. Sure, you can crumple up that piece of paper to get a more vigorous shape from it, but at the end of the day, it is still a flat sheet of paper no matter how you try to bend it. That's not to say they don't have an occasional moment where I enjoyed watching them on screen. However, for the vast majority of time, I found this group of heroes painfully dull to sit through. First off is the unremarkable adventurer, Sotaru Akashi. It is nice to see a mature Red Ranger again in Akashi, as he is profoundly serious while also knowing how to have fun from time to time. While I do feel like sometimes the show can put him in too silly of a situation for his own good, actor Mitsuomi Takahashi manages to play it off to the best of his ability, often succeeding more than he fails at it. Except for that one time. Yeah, let's not talk about that one time. Akashi is a world-renowned treasure hunter who lost two of his best friends in an accident while on an adventure, which is why he tries to be the best leader he can be and keep everyone safe. He will go above and beyond expectations when needed, even at the cost of hurting the feelings for those he cares about.
本当に燃やしてしまったんですか？
ひどいよ。命令だったんです。従うのが当然です。
Our joyless adventurer, Sakura Nishihori, comes from a rich family where she was never allowed to have her own thoughts and feelings on the world, which turned her into being quite emotionless at times. She left her family to join the military before being recruited by Akashi, therefore she will often ignore her cohorts if it would jeopardize their mission's success.
マスミとソウタさんが落ちた時、2人なら大丈夫って分かってたからプレシャスを取りに行ったんでしょ？ああ、分かるわけないですよ。すでに落ちてしまった以上、できることは何もありません。優先すべきはプレシャス回収。
Being so cold-hearted also makes it hard for children to trust her, as she can come off unnerving. Which is kinda true, though.
石を渡して、子供のおもちゃじゃないんです。やだ！君、よく聞きなさい。誰か助けて！この人、悪い人です。助けて！
My favorite moment for Sakura is when she goes full-on Rambo during an episode where her male counterparts have been kidnapped by the villains. We do get to see that she does have feelings for Akashi as the show progresses, though very little is ever realized in that aspect until the finale, and even then, nothing is truly developed in that regard, which is a shame as it could have added a new dynamic to a show that desperately needed one. You may also recognize actress Haruka Tsunega if you have ever watched that awful sequel to Battle Royale. Next up, we have the typical blue adventurer, Sota Mogami, played by Masashi Mikami. Sota was a former spy who grew a conscience and wanted to protect the world rather than steal from it.
情報玩具のように扱い、その結果、時には企業を崩壊させ、国家すら消滅したことにある時気づいた。自分がスリルに酔うためだけにどれだけの人々を傷つけ、その笑顔を奪ってきたか。
He's also a ladies' man who will do anything for a woman, even if it does get him in trouble, as in one episode where he just had to warn a woman on her lunch break about an action that was about to transpire, despite it revealing their plot to the villains.
そこでコーヒー飲んでる彼女。そこのエリアは今から立ち入り禁止なんだよね。悪いけど、離れてくれるかな。
この声、冒険者、来てるんだ。
Thanks to his former profession, Sota acts as a team specialist when it comes to recording and analyzing data, along with keeping a log of every quest the Boukengers partook in. Sadly, he is the blandest of the blend among the team, as he doesn't do anything that made him stand out among both his associates and other Blue Rangers across the entire franchise. The last two members of the team are the emo adventurer Masumi Inoue and the exceptionally naive adventurer Natsuki Mamiya. The reason I grouped these two together is because they were allies before joining up with the Boukengers. Masumi was formerly a thief who hunted rare treasures for his personal gain and ended up coming across an unconscious girl on one of his travels. The girl had no memory of who she was, nor did she have any idea what her name was. As such, Masumi named her Natsuki Mamiya and made her his partner in crime. Masumi's parents had died when he was quite young, which led him to being taken care of by a group of treasure hunters until they were killed by an evil ninja. Masumi used one of his buddies as a meat shield, which is why their murderer left him alive, as he saw the dark side residing within the child's heart. This is something Masumi will occasionally have to face up as the series progresses, especially when it comes to wanting to be a superior treasure hunter compared to Akashi.
分かったか。俺があんたをゴールドトレジャーハンターだと。明石悟。いいな。不滅の牙。
不滅の牙。
As for Natsuki, she is a joy to watch. Her naivete can be quite fun and detrimental at times, as is the case when she nearly got into a car with some strangers who wanted to take her on their own adventure.
迷子じゃなくて今探してるとこ。
どこ？俺ら送ってあげるよ。
本当？ね北野城の三本松っていうとこ。
車で行きゃすぐだから。
10 years later, and they could have marketed themselves as Uber drivers. Natsuki is very outgoing, and watching her quest to learn about her past throughout the first 2/3 of the show is quite compelling. Unfortunately, once she does find out who she is, that plot becomes lost as it holds no significance on the rest of the show, which is a shame, as it would have been nice if it had been utilized in the finale or something. Hell, half of the villains are left oblivious to her roots, even though it could have helped spice up the plot later on. I do like this scene when Natsuki is used as a sacrifice.
それだけ。
Oh, and this happens at one point.
夏木さんが大冒険を発進させちゃいました。
ゴーゴービークル発進。ゴーゴー合体。大冒険合体完了。
Yasuke Saito and Chisei Nakamura portray this duo. Our heroes work for an organization known as the Search Guard Successor, or Surges for short. Surges is always on the lookout for the appearance of a new precious, as they feel they must collect them all in order to protect the world from the horrors that they may invoke, for there are a lot of preciouses out there that could cause harm to it, and naturally, there are those who would wish to use them for the greater evil. The head of Surges is an unknown persona who the Rangers only know as a computerized avatar deemed Mr. Voice. Mr. Voice gives them their orders and gets mad if his orders are not followed to the T.
プレシャスがネガティブシンジケートなんかに悪用されると今度こそ世界は破滅だ。
Additionally, there is Dr. Morio Makino, who is Surges' lead scientist in charge of ensuring the Boukengers' equipment is functional. He is the one who invented their suits, utilizing a technology system known as the Parallel Engine, which are activated through a series of cell phones. Makino is also a master of disguise when necessary, though that is his only trait. We never really learn anything about him beyond he is there to help the Rangers out because that is what he is paid to do. As for Mr. Voice, while we the audience do get to meet the person behind the computer screen in the finale, the Rangers never do. Speaking of the Rangers, their suits are decent with what essentially looks like a white stripe in the center of their Ranger color. The helmets look like they are wearing respirators over their heads with headlights above the visor that actually work. That might actually be my favorite feature of these costumes. As for their team logo on their chest, many back in 2006 said it reminded them of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Lightning logo, which I can totally see even though it is meant to be a compass. Weapon-wise, they have the usual gun swords, while each Ranger does get their own signature weapon, with Akashi's being a javelin, Sakura's is a super soaker, Natsuki gets shovel hands, Masumi a hammer, and Sota's blows. You could kinda say, I'm not a fan of his. There's also a powerful weapon they acquire a few episodes into the show that acts as their final canon weapon. The sixth Ranger of the team is a half-human, half-demon hybrid known as Eiji Takaoka. Eiji might be the most interesting character on the team due to his origins, as he begins the show as a damaged demon hunter whose father died protecting him while his mother's soul is trapped in an alternate dimension as punishment for falling in love with a human. Whoa. It's getting a little J.J. Abrams up in here. Before becoming a Boukenger, Eiji wielded a ceremonial staff that is not only used to kill other demons, but also to keep his demonic side tame. As Bouken Silver, he dons a metal detector staff that can also transform into a rifle and act as an axe. It's very versatile. As with most Six Rangers, Masayuki Daie has to act like a loner who struggles to get along with his teammates, as he comes off as annoying to Masumi while he can't stand Sakura's inability to actually speak her mind. Obviously, he acclimates as the show progresses. He also loves to eat raw vegetables. I'm honestly surprised we didn't get a scene of him and Masumi arguing over this, considering how much Masumi hates peas.
俺たちは冒険のプロであって戦闘のプロじゃない仲間お前何すんだよ
Dude, I totally get where you're coming from. Peas are gross. The final hero of the series is an ancient robot that can transform into a sword named Zuban. While Zuban doesn't really add too much to the show other than being a new piece of merchandise for parents to buy their kids,
おいズンズンって今イエスって言ったか
there's an interesting element added to him that is tied with Natsuki that goes unfulfilled after Natsuki's memory plot is resolved, so that was disappointing. Still, he doesn't harm or hinder the show and kind of harkens back to Ninja Man from Kaku Ranger, just without the excitement. Hideyuki Hori is the voice actor behind this swordman, who many should know as Captain Ginyu in Dragon Ball Z, Kuma in One Piece, and Ryu Hayabusa in both Dead or Alive and the newer Ninja Gaiden series. The villains. While Toei decided not to use Sentai gear for the Preciouses, they did decide to commemorate the anniversary series by having the villains based on previous Sentai mecha. Hell, the main leaders to each group are based on the mechs from Sugimura's quadrilogy of series. That's freaking awesome. It doesn't always work out well, as there are some monsters where I looked up what they were supposed to resemble and pondered such for minutes on end. For example, this thing here is apparently based on Live Robo, and I just don't see it.
Corporate needs you to find the differences between this picture and this picture. They're the same picture.
Same goes for this one that is supposed to be the Hurricane's Senpujin. And Galaxy Mega.
Ladies and gentlemen, 私の名前はズカンガミ。いいよ、お見知りおきよ。
あ、どうも
Alternatively, I can totally see the resemblances to Daijin Ryu.
気流の力を得たこの僕は無敵。それに見ろ。東には川、西には山脈。風水的に最も最高の木を感じるぞ。
V-Rex.
空と大地を揺るがせて。
And Grade 5. Then there are some that I can kind of understand where the design is coming from, even if I don't totally acknowledge it, as is the case of this one here that is meant to be Vara Bloom from Gold Ranger. Nevertheless, it is a unique idea to base your villains off of previous Sentai mecha and could entice the audience to study each monster to seek out the features that came from their originators. As for the villains themselves, Boukenger features 4 distinct groups that all have their own goals in mind. While initially this is an interesting idea as it allows for episodes to host a plethora of variety, since you were never sure what group or groups were going to be featured in the next episode, it also hinders the show as it meant none of the villains could ever truly be fleshed out. There is only a small amount of development given to each group, with the vast majority of it being done as the show spirals towards its climax, meaning that there are a lot of aspects I cannot reveal in the wake of spoilers. The first threat the Boukengers encounter is awakening an ancient villain who calls himself Gaja of the Gorma Empire. I mean Gorgum Empire. Wait, no, that's still not right. Gordum Empire. Hiro Otaka portrays this ancient wizard scientist who speaks in a raspy voice and wants to use the Precious's to restore the Gordum Empire to its former glory. Gaja also comes equipped with his own foot soldiers known as curses. So he swears a lot. There aren't a lot of Gordum monsters of the week, and the few that do exist are usually prehistoric menaces that have been resuscitated. While it was nice to finally have an actual male actor playing a villain again after so long, I can't say Gaja wows me in the threat department. Most of the time he ends up being too serious for his own good, and the one time they make him silly, it comes off as over the top. Still, it was a nice breath of fresh air compared to what the last several series had done with all the male villains being nothing more than walking suits. I should also mention that Gaja is based on Oblaker from Old Ranger. I don't see the resemblance, but he is. The second set of adversaries to emerge is the Reptile clan.
Dragonflies, maximize, fly forever through dragon skies.
The Reptiles are a bunch of lizardmen who are led by their king Ryuan, whose design is based on Daijujin. Ryuan was a treasure hunter who discovered the ability to create life using the DNA of dinosaurs, and it is through this process that he creates himself an army of minions and monsters. His end goal is for the world to be dominated by lizard men. Ryuan is voiced by Junpei Morita, who has been featured in the likes of Naruto, Shin-chan, Yakuza, and Shin Megami Tensei. Ryuan is easily the most fleshed out leader of the 4 villain groups, though, as previously stated, I cannot go into details due to spoilers. Let's just say that his backstory adds a bit of sympathy to his character, as you can totally understand his point of view and what drives him to be the way he is, even if it was of his own volition. He also can make some of his monsters grow big, while at other times he will just create titanic behemoths. And there's a furry one. Dark Shadow is the name of the 3rd ninja-themed group, and unlike Gaja and Ryuan, they do not want to take over the world. They just want to make money by selling Precious's to the highest bidder. That does help them stand out from other villains in the entire franchise, though I can't say they are exactly compelling characters. My favorite thing about Dark Shadow is that the lead trio are based on the 3 gods from Kaku Ranger. Their leader, the Owl Gecko of Illusions, is meant to represent Tsubasamaru, while Shizuka of the Wind is Kakure Daishogun, and Muteki Shogun is the basis for Yaiba of Darkness. Yaiba also utilizes Ninja White's paper crane attack ability, which is what he used to kill a young Masame's treasure hunting pack. What's also interesting about Yaiba is he is voiced by Takaya Kuroda, who is Kiru Kazuma in the Yakuza video game series I've recently taken a liking to.
欲望のために他人など犠牲にする。
Yaiba is the most serious member of the team, while Shizuka is the inexperienced field ninja. She speaks in a very childish manner, while also often being hit on by Sultan. Shizuka is played by Mami Yamasaki,
世界一のカンフーガールよ。
なかなか似合ってるじゃん。
地球一の女子高生が焼き入れてあげるわ。銀が最強のナースよ。倒れちゃったあなたには特製のお注射が必要ね。
Banjo Ginga voices Gecko.
奴らを元の姿に戻せるのは図鑑神のみ。ボーケンジャーに取引を持ちかければ奴らも無下には断れまい。
You may recognize Ginga as Gear in Zabi and Gundam, Darby in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, King Vegeta in Dragon Ball Z, and the narrator of Food Wars. Dark Shadow does not have their own grunts, so they will often buy curses from Gaja to help them out from time to time. As for their monsters, they are created from a fusion of a ninja scroll and modern technology. Gecko is able to make their monsters grow big using a ninjutsu technique upon defeat. Finally, we have the Ashu. The Ashu are where the stories of yokai originated from, as they were a vicious clan of demons before being fully wiped out by Eiji's bloodline. The remaining two survivors, Guy and Rei, based on Ryu Seo and Wan Tiger, were killed by the Boukengers only to be reborn as cyborgs thanks to Gaja with a new device he created known as the Gordam Engine and renamed them the Questers. As the Questers, they cause the initial 5 Boukengers a lot of pain, for the Gordam Engine causes a negative effect on their parallel engines, even if it only lasts for 2 episodes before that entire plot point is forgotten about. Kenta Miyake and Chihiro Suzuki voiced the villainous duo who have been featured in many roles before from anime, video games, and Toku.
お前たちのアクセルスーツをはるかにしのぐ性能を持つ。しかもゴードムエンジンの波長はお前たちのパラレルエンジンからスーツへのパワーの供給を遮断する。
The cool thing about the Questers is that they don't have any monsters they send out, as they do everything themselves while building their own lines of mecha to battle the Rangers. On the other hand, they want to conquer the world because of course they do. Oh, and their Quester forms are based on Dairano and Kiba Dai-O, which again is awesome! The mecha. Boukenger is all about the mecha, so I hope you like mechs. They have the first 9 mechs within 11 episodes. If it wasn't for the fact that 5 of them appear in the first episode, it would pretty much be 1 mech per almost every episode at that point. Ugh. There's so many mechs, I'm just gonna let the show name them all for you. Alrighty then, yeah. The first 5 come together to form Daiboken. The next 5 can combine together to create Daitenken, while mostly acting as auxiliary mecha to Daiboken or forming more powerful iterations.
Merchandising! Merchandising!
Eiji's trio of mechs helped build Siren Builder. My favorite mecha in this series, though, is Dai Voyager. I love how he is a formation of a battleship that turns into a robot. It really makes me pine for Toei to do an actual marine-based Sentai series and having a carrier ship like this be one of the mechs or something. Now, one thing I will say, despite there being a lot of mechs, especially for the forming of Ultimate Daiboken, is that they kind of gave me an old Dairuger 15 vehicle Voltron feel. I'm not sure why, but watching 10 robots combined together into one being brought out a sense of nostalgia, which is why I don't mind it as much as I should. It's not something you see done every day, and while it is annoying to have that many goddamn toy commercials in the show, it's different. Yet, it doesn't look as overly busy as it could, at least to me. What's even funnier though is the head to Dai Voyager resembles the Dairuger head in its design. It's just a shame that most of the mech battles in Boukenger are as banal as the rest of the show. One intriguing feature is that the auxiliary mech is interchangeable between Daiboken, Dai Voyager, and Siren Builder. Lastly, I also have to give some points for creativity as Siren Builder has a self-destruct button in its cockpit that literally says suicide on it.
You don't see that every day. No, you don't, my man.
The effects and music. Boukenger was the first Sentai series to be filmed in both HD and in widescreen, and while it does have a cleaner feel compared to the other series before it, Toei didn't really do anything special with it. I'm actually quite disappointed that they didn't try to do anything cinematic with this show given the new presentation. The series in the 80s always had this impressive camera work that felt like they were trying to give a standard television show movie quality film techniques, and now that they have the means to make a TV show look like a movie, they don't do anything. I can't recall a single moment where the camera work wowed me one bit. There were a couple of cool fights sprinkled throughout the show, with the best being a battle between Akashi and Ryuwan in the snow, nonetheless, beyond that, everything meets status quo. In fact, it plays it so straight, it's uninspiring. The CGI is hit or miss as always, as are the miniatures. There's very little in the way of being extraordinary to speak on, as it plays everything so damn safe in spite of being an anniversary season. It's like they decided since Gaoranger took a lot of risks by adding in the hordes of mecha and CGI, they would just keep bulking on the level. It just doesn't work for me, and I feel that the 30th series should be taking major risks to keep the audience engaged, which is something Boukenger fails to do. Even the music is nothing special. The opening theme by Nobu is average at best. It's not a bad opening theme, just not great by any means. Psychic Lover returns to the franchise after having done the opening theme to Dekaranger 2 years prior with an utterly tedious ending titled Boukenger on the Road. The song lacks so much energy and immersion compared to their Dekaranger opening and their Shinkenger one that I didn't even realize they were the ones who did it. Thankfully, the series BGM is a vast improvement over its bookended tracks thanks to the incredible score Koichiro Nakagawa helmed. That shouldn't be surprising given the man also did the phenomenal music to Code Geass and Kamen Rider Decade. There are many really standout tracks, as you can hear here.
Mission start です。
了解。
ちょっとその地図が示すものを見つけてはいいか。
They are easily the saving grace for the show, even as sometimes they can struggle to keep you engaged in what is actually happening on screen. Technically, I feel this should have been the show's theme song with how monotonous it was the majority of the time.
So
The episodes. On the subject of boring, let's talk about those episodes. Or can we not and just pretend I did? Oh. Yeah, the episodes here are just as dull as the vast majority of everything else. There are episodes full of interesting ideas bogged down in mediocrity. While in my Maji Ranger review I said that show alternated between good and bad episodes, Boukenger is quite impressive in how there is usually one good episode for every 3 bad ones. Oh my god. The first 3 episodes were a chore to sit through, only for episode 4 to be well done, which was then followed by another slog of stories. It was very uneven. Some have said the second half of the series fares better than the first, yet I just don't see it. For example, episode 35 is without a doubt the best of the series, while 36 and 37 were borderline bad. The following one, 38, was a ray of sunshine that was quickly eclipsed by 39, which may be the worst of them all. Jesus. Episode 39, which is titled The Prometheus Stone, is just an awful pile of dog shit. It's part clip show, part not. A talking rock is brought into the Boukenger's base, only for it to be revealed that it may blow up if it isn't entertained. Therefore, our heroes have to act dumb as hell to keep its spirits up while they try to figure out how to stop it from taking out a portion of the city.
Precious の好きそうなもの集めてきました。
Are you not entertained?
The rock itself, known as the Prometheus Stone from Greek mythology, has an annoying voice and cranks up the stupid excessively.
全身エーゲ海の匂いプンプンやろが。
大阪弁のギリシャがあるかよ。
ギリシャにも方言ぐらいあるわい。ブキケス。ふざけんな。
やめてください。
This show was full of dreadful moments such as when Akashi got turned into a goldfish and when Sakura pretended to be dumplings for the legendary Momotaro.
その2。
きびだんご。
But at least those episodes had a good moment to make them worth sitting through. This episode has none of that, and the plot twist about who sent them the Prometheus Stone is just stupid as frickin' hell. Thankfully, the Godhead exists because goddamn would this series be unsalvageable without episodes like these. In this one, Dark Shadow has stolen a powerful stone called the Godhead and is going to sell it on the black market. The Boukengers get wind of this only to discover there are 2 possible deals going on, with only one of them being the real deal.
こっちが本当の取引だよ。プレシャス確保完了。じゃーん。これが神の頭です。プレシャス確認抑えましょう。
So the Rangers are split up to scope out which deal involves the real Godstone. It's an interesting setup that gives the tale a crime thriller taste to it, as it keeps you guessing what is actually going on, with a plot twist on top of a plot twist that would make M. Night Shyamalan melt. It's a suspenseful episode that is as engaging as it is fun. The movies. Oh, thank the gods for this. Like with Maji Ranger, there's only 2 movies. Thank you. Thank you. The first is the summer movie, which takes place between episodes 20 and 29. In this one, a mysterious mountain emerges out of nowhere, declaring a reward to any who may brave its summit. We end up meeting Akashi's dad, who likes to pretend he's a certain 80s action hero. Seeing a bunch of really bad green screen effects. And our villains have an embarrassing Team Rocket-like send-off. The fuck? It's also the first time we actually see Go-Go Vehicles 6 to 10 combined to form Daitinken. The movie is alright though, I do think the big baddie is freaking awesome. In honor of being the 30th anniversary series, Toei decided to forego doing a Boukenger vs. Maji Ranger movie and do an anniversary film a la Gal Ranger vs. Super Sentai, instead titled Boukenger vs. Super Sentai. It has nowhere near the excitement of the Gal Ranger one, since it really only celebrates the last 5 years of Sentai rather than 30 years worth. However, I can understand why. Fortunately, it's well paced even if it isn't exactly well written. For some reason, this movie was filmed in standard definition and in 4:3 as opposed to HD and 16:9. No idea why, it just is. Gaja teams up with a demon named Kronos who resurrects a few past generals to help him conquer the world.
命の報酬として世界征服に力を貸すがよい。我を蘇らすとはなかなかいいセンスしてるじゃない。
Why Memi? Why not one of the Infertia gods? Anyway, the main 5 Boukengers get tossed into another dimension while Edgy has to recruit previous Rangers to help him save them. Eiji seems to have the worst timing, for he tries to invite Tsubasa during a boxing match, Nanami as she is getting ready for a recording session, Asuka when he is trapped on another Earth, and Tetsu who is in the middle of a freaking undercover mission that he nearly blows.
お、いたいた。誰だてめえ。お前か。鉄っていうのは。突然だが、正義のために力を貸してもらう。
Like, are you kidding me? Even an idiot would know what he is doing. Moving on, they join up with him as does the embodiment of the Super Sentai franchise, a ranger named Aka Red, voiced by Amuro Ray and Tuxedo Mask himself, Toru Furuya.
では、冒険レッドが戻るまで、レッドの役はこの私が務めさせてもらおう。
Together, they free the rest of the Boukengers for the big team-up finale. One thing to note, Aka Red seems to lay the groundwork for what would become the main attraction to Gokaiger 5 years later with his ability to transform into previous Red Rangers.
ソウル降臨、ガオレッド。灼熱の獅子。ガオレッド。
Oh, and with their powers combined, they give Dai Voyager a temporary upgrade. Overall, like I said, it's not a bad movie, just not the celebratory masterpiece it was advertised to be. In the end, Boukenger is like watching a pot boil. You're all excited when you start boiling that water, and then nothing happens for what feels like forever. And when something does happen, you totally forget to add the ingredients in because of how bored you were. Hey, isn't there like a Geki Ranger episode on that? I think so. Wait, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, Boukenger. I give Boukenger a 2 out of 5 grown-ups in spandex. It smells definitely not the worst Sentai series out there, so there's that. It's just not very good. Definitely watch it if you love mechs. Just don't go in expecting much of anything else. The monster designs are cool. I mean, there is some redeeming values. That's why it's a 2 and not a 1. But, yeah, not the series that should have been an anniversary series. Until next time, bye.
I see what you did there.